Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kiltz Health live stream with Dr. Nelson. I am your host, Dr. Nelson Vasquez from Central Florida. And today we have a great guest here with us, and Alia, who's usually not with me in the afternoons, is joining us as well. Please let us know where you are. Put it in the chat where you're watching from. And joining us today is a person known as a thyroid fixer, Dr. Amie Hornaman. She's a doctor of clinical nutrition and functional medicine who transitioned from a competitive figure athlete to a leading advocate for thyroid health after her own body rebelled against her. She now helps worldwide, people worldwide, the confusing world of thyroid labs to find real answers for fat loss, energy, and fertility. Dr. Amie, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Dr. Nelson, and thank you for having me.
All righty. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. And today, as well, if you would like to get a bottle of one of Dr. Amie's products, what are we giving away, Dr. Amie, specifically?
We are going to give away Thyroid Fixer. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about metabolism and energy and what T2 does, but Thyroid Fixer contains T2, which is a very powerful but yet forgotten thyroid hormone that increases our baseline metabolic rate, our metabolism. And it also helps with our energy, decreases inflammation, and turns on a gene that prevents fat accumulation on our bodies, which is really cool.
Thank you. So please put hashtag KMT in the box for the giveaway, and we'll do that at the end. All right. So as questions come in, we'll mark them and put them up. But let's start talking about, of course, Dr. Kiltz, who's usually not here in the afternoon, but Dr. Kiltz is a fertility specialist. So
Yep.
that's one of the things you do with the thyroid, right? Thyroid and infertility or fertility problems.
Absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit about that, please.
So one of the, and it's a shame that women aren't told this really in their premester, like when they are getting ready to conceive, when they are getting ready to become pregnant, they're not told the importance of checking the thyroid thoroughly, not just with conventional medicine testing, but really checking their thyroid function thoroughly and addressing that prior to pregnancy. Because unfortunately, one of the biggest causes of miscarriage and biggest causes of infertility and then miscarriage if conception takes place is low thyroid function. And women just are not told that. And outside of just the thyroid function alone, so that would be your TSH, free T4, free T3, and reverse T3, those last two conventional medicine does not test on a regular basis. We also need to look at thyroid antibodies, TPO and TGA, because an elevated TPO antibody, which indicates that you have Hashimoto's, there was a stat, I wish I could remember it exactly, but the presence of TPO antibodies increases your risk of infertility and miscarriage. It's over 50%. It was like one of those when I even read it, I went, whoa, oh my goodness, I had no idea it was that impactful. You know, I knew thyroid function, yes. But even just the presence of antibodies significantly decreases your chance of getting pregnant, increases miscarriage.
So going back 33 years ago, almost 34, my wife found out she was pregnant, and then she was having a threatened miscarriage. Progesterone saved that pregnancy. And by the way, that pregnancy 30 plus years later resulted in my grandson. So progesterone saved that pregnancy.
Yes.
Now, I understand that the main problem, if we try to identify a single issue, is that low thyroid affects the progesterone, which is what's going to keep that pregnancy viable. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So actually I have a story for you. One of my star patients that if you've come to any of my talks at Hack Your Health, where we officially met, Health Optimization Summit, I always show Gabriella's picture because it's so impactful. Not only in her weight loss before and after, you could see about 100-pound difference, but her story was that she suffered multiple miscarriages and it was really starting to affect their marriage. I mean, that is a very stressful thing for a couple to go through, and including infertility. And then when she finally would get pregnant, miscarriage. So she suffered multiple miscarriages. And when we tested her, she already knew she had a thyroid problem, but unfortunately her doctors had her on the standard of care treatment, T4 only, Synthroid, levothyroxine, Levoxyl. Many of your listeners might be on that, nodding their heads right now like, yeah, that's me. So she was on T4 only. Well, the thing to remember here, and that we can dive more into, is that T4 will convert to something called reverse T3. And reverse T3 is our anti-thyroid hormone. It basically puts our body into survival mode, like lockdown, hibernation, like a barren winter survival mode. When that happens, that's obviously, just think about it. If our bodies are in survival mode, are we going to produce enough hormone? Are we going to produce enough progesterone to get pregnant? Are we going to even be fit to carry a baby? No, the body knows that and basically says, no, this body's in survival mode, hibernation. We can't conceive right now. And then in addition, her insulin was really high. So she had no progesterone, elevated reverse T3, not proper thyroid function, and she was insulin resistant, all because no one was treating her thyroid properly. So we treated her thyroid properly, got the reverse T3 down, the free T3 up. We did give her a little bit of progesterone as well. Then her body started making it on its own, and insulin went down, which we know that high insulin also affects fertility. So it was just this perfect storm happening to this woman. And to your point, yes, her thyroid tanked her progesterone levels.
Very good. Now, most thyroid problems, unfortunately, or I should specify more, hypothyroidism happens from Hashimoto's, right?
95%. Yeah. 95% of all hypo, low and slow thyroid function is Hashimoto's.
And so tell us a little bit about that and what we can do about it. And if thyroid functions are normal, would having antibodies is still a problem?
Yes. So first of all, 95% of all hypo, low and slow thyroid function is Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune. It's the autoimmune form of hypothyroidism where our body sees our thyroid as a bad guy and likes to go out and attack it. And with any autoimmune condition, our body is just confused. It thinks that particular organ, gland, whatever it is an invader. And so those antibodies, which I call soldiers, I equate them to being little soldiers that like to attack. Those antibodies, those soldiers go out and they beat up your thyroid. So whenever we beat up the thyroid gland over and over and over again, year after year, decade after decade, obviously it's not going to work very well, because if I came to your house, Dr. Nelson, and beat you up every day, you probably wouldn't be doing the show. You'd be like lying in your bed, like trying to heal, right? So our thyroid gland is the same way. It's not going to work properly if it's getting beaten up every day. So eventually we will see those thyroid numbers start to decline. And the key here, and something that you said, is if the thyroid numbers are normal, well, there's normal and then there's optimal. And we know conventional medicine always goes by normal. If you are within that standard lab value range, which is huge and it's not accurate and it's taken from groups of sick people, we need to look at, are you optimal, which is a much more narrow range, but that's where we know people are going to look, feel, and perform their best. They're going to have beautiful fertility. They're going to be able to carry a baby. They're going to have a metabolism and energy and all the things when we are in that optimal range.
I went back, and the last time I had lab tests was 2 years ago. And I went back to check my TSH at the time, and it was 1.95, I think.
Okay.
So I know you like it under 2 at least, right? Is that the
TSA
optimal?
Yep, TSH we like under a 2, but here's the big thing with TSH is it just does not give the whole story. We
Of
have
course.
to move beyond TSH. So we can start there. So for yours, I would look and I would go, okay, 1.95. I like that. That's good. Now let's look deeper. Now let's look at all the other numbers.
So what are the other tests that normally most traditional doctors will not even order? And so tell us a little bit about the T4, T3, T2, the reverse T3, which is kind of important.
Very, 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 very important. So free T3 and reverse T3 are the two most important markers. And unfortunately, they are the two that your doctor probably isn't ordering or maybe even won't order if you ask. Now, I do have a rule. I have a blanket rule here for anyone listening. If your doctor says no to testing, it's time to get a new doctor. Period. End of story. You do not beg your doctor for testing. Do not waste your time, breath, energy, because if you have to beg and plead for your doctor to properly test you, to see what is going on inside your body, what is the level of function that your thyroid has, if they won't even do that when it's no money out of their pocket or skin off their back to write you a lab order, that person is never, ever, ever going to be able to help you. So that's rule number 1. So when we're unpacking what labs to get, chances are you will get a free T4. Now, T4 is the inactive thyroid hormone. It does nothing. T4 has to convert over and become T3, the active thyroid hormone, to do anything in your body. Because when we look at all the cells in your body, the receptor site on our cell is for T3. There is no receptor sites on any of our cells for T4, none. So we need that T4 to become T3. So that's why we want to test free T3. How much free, unbound, available to your cells, active thyroid hormone is there in your body? Then we want to look at reverse T3, which, like we said earlier, is the anti-thyroid hormone. If there's too much reverse T3, it is literally going to block T3 from getting to the cell. So we already said, okay, here's your cell. There's a little receptor site on your cell for T3. If you have too much reverse T3, it's like a bouncer at the club. It's blocking that receptor site on your cell from accepting that active thyroid hormone. And I like to equate it to a lock and key. When the key of T3 goes into the lock, we can turn it and activate. So that's the activation of your metabolism, your energy, your hair, your gut motility, your body temperature, your brain function, your mood. Everything revolves around you having enough active thyroid hormone and revolves around your thyroid being optimal. And what I always say about the thyroid is head to toe, it runs the show. So think about that, from your hair to your joints, to your gut, to your heart, to your skin, to your eyebrows, your nails, your metabolism, your body fat, your movement, all depends on thyroid hormone. So from head to toe, it runs the show. If you don't have enough free T3, or if you have too much reverse T3, you will not feel good. You will not be living your best life. Then we move over to the TPO and the TGA antibodies. Those are our markers for Hashimoto's. Now, it's really important here to remember this. Any antibody is a soldier going out and attacking your thyroid. Any antibody at all. I don't care if your doctor looked at your lab and say, Susie, you don't have Hashimoto's because your TPO is a 20. Excuse me. So we're going to wait until Susie gains an extra 20 pounds and can't get off her couch to then, have 34 TPO antibodies and then we'll call her Hashimoto's. No, we address it now. We address the presence of Hashimoto's now.
Now, Alia has Hashimoto's. Do you have any questions for Dr. Amie?
I was just looking at my blood work from a year ago, which I don't know if it's any better, but than from a year ago. I'm curious. So let's see. And hopefully my electricity doesn't go out again.
Oh, yes. Here we go. Okay. Sorry. Either I froze or you froze. I'm back.
I'm so curious about my own blood work. So
Okay.
All right.
I was diagnosed, I'll just say quickly, I was diagnosed after my second baby was born about 7 years ago. She was born 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago. But they didn't explain that it was Hashimoto's. I was just told at the time that I had dangerously high levels, and some number was like 10,000. But nobody like took the time to explain. And I got an angry call for not getting my prescription filled.
Okay.
So I took my prescription. I felt like crap, and I stopped. And so basically, since then, and it was Synthroid.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm lying. That was after my son was born. So then when I was pregnant with my daughter, my thyroid numbers looked normal, but they still put me on thyroid medication. And so I took it during my pregnancy, the Synthroid. And then once it's maybe the whole pregnancy, I don't remember, or at least part of it. And then I stopped. And so I felt crazier and crazier over the years until I found carnivore. Does that make sense? No, like actually felt psychotic. Is that related to the Hashimoto's?
Well, because you were on T4 only. So I'm going to give you a stat for anyone listening as well. If you are on T4 only, like Synthroid, levothyroxine, Levoxyl, Euthyrox, Tirosint, those are all just T4. Now, we said earlier that T4 is the inactive thyroid hormone. So a lot of people question, they go, well, wait, why am I taking the inactive thyroid hormone here and not taking the active? Well, that's a very good question to ask. Why are we only giving T4? The second part of that is that the only thing that will convert to reverse T3 is T4. So when we give patients more and more and more Synthroid, let's increase your dose. Or quite frankly, even those that are on Armour thyroid or NP thyroid, which is called natural desiccated thyroid medication. That's what the FDA is going after currently and trying to take it away from us. It's a great med, but the problem with it is that it's 80% T4 and only 20% T3. So someone with a conversion issue, and I'll get into what hinders that conversion and what pushes up reverse T3 in a minute. If someone has a conversion issue, then they're really going to struggle and basically experience exactly what you experience when you give them more and more and more T4. So,
I mean, I stopped a while ago, but just progressively, I just felt worse and worse and worse.
Right.
Until I started a carnivore diet. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I feel so much better in 3 days. And maybe you can explain that.
You lowered your antibodies. So here's the thing with any autoimmune. I don't care if you have Hashimoto's, MS, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, celiac, whatever. Any autoimmune condition is going to respond to carnivore like that because you are taking out the foods that cause inflammation, and inflammation drives antibodies. So when you remove that one source, and of course, obviously by going carnivore, you are removing the big bad driver, especially of Hashimoto antibodies, called gluten. Whenever anyone is exposed to gluten and has Hashimoto's at the same time, here's what happens. Your soldiers that are always on the lookout, right? Remember, the soldiers think your thyroid is a bad guy. They just don't know any better. They're always on the lookout for invaders. Well, here comes along gluten that microscopically has a molecular mimicry to, and I'm not saying that properly, but it's molecular mimicry to the thyroid. So basically it looks like the thyroid gland. And your soldiers see gluten coming in and they go, hey guys, guess what? There's an invader coming. Let's go. Let's launch this war today. So every single time a Hashimoto patients eat gluten, they increase their antibodies and they start a war. So think about it. With carnivore, you're removing that completely. So you're lowering your antibodies, you're lowering inflammation. You're basically telling your soldiers, you know what? Y'all can just stay in your barracks. We don't need you to come out and start a war anymore. You just sit there and look pretty. Just be quiet. And so that's basically what you were doing by eating carnivore.
Interesting.
So
because even I want to just say one more thing, Dr. Nelson. Even last year, after like being very strict on my diet, I still had like tons of antibodies floating around my system for the blood work, but I still felt 1,000 times better than before.
what I would like to do with you is see your
Yeah.
full panel. I would love
Oh,
to see
okay.
like all the markers, just like what we talked about, free T3,
Sure.
reverse T3, all of that. Let's look at your antibodies. Now, one thing that you can add in, and I would totally send this to you, but you're out of it. Well, you'll have to send me
I
your
have
address
it.
because we still ship out of the country. So I want to send you Hashimoto's fixer because
Oh,
that
okay.
will lower your antibodies too.
Oh, wow. I didn't know there was, I have your thyroid and I have your metabolism fixer. I didn't realize there was a Hashimoto's fixer. Because that
I'm
was
gonna
my
send
next
you Hashimoto's.
question.
Yep.
How do you get rid of it? Can you get rid of it?
Yep.
Permanently.
Yeah, we have seen people go into remission
Oh,
on
wow.
Hashimoto's fixer. So I'll send you some of that and let's actually track your antibodies and see if we can't drop them because you're doing all the right things lifestyle and nutrition wise.
Yeah.
Now you might just need a little bit more help.
Interesting.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have mentioned, I think you mentioned insulin at one point, and we've mentioned carnivore. Most people watching here are carnivores or carnivore curious. Talk to us about insulin and this thing that is out there on the internet, especially lately. It seems a lot of carnivores adding tons of fruit. One of the issues is, because the carnivore diet tanked my thyroid.
Yeah. Okay. Let's unpack that. First of all, there is very little evidence. There is some, I'm not going to discount it, but very, very, very little evidence that a low carb way of eating, so we could say keto or carnivore, which carnivore is very low carb, a low carb way of eating can decrease T3, our active thyroid hormone. First of all, it really, number one, it depends on the person. It depends on all of the other factors going on. What is their hormone function? What's their sleep like? What's their stress like? What's their exercise regimen like? Because we know that that all plays a role into health. It's not just what we put in our mouths. I mean, that's a big part, but there are other factors as well. So are the other factors tanking someone's free T3 and we don't even know it? When we look at reverse T3, like I was mentioning earlier, there are so many things that increase reverse T3. Well, if we increase reverse, we're going to decrease the free, right? So high cortisol, high insulin, estrogen dominance, magnesium deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, selenium deficiency, iodine deficiency, and genetic SNPs as well. There are 2 genetic SNPs that you could have that make you a non-converter of T4 to T3. So with all of those factors coming in, I would even debate the studies that are out that are saying, oh my gosh, if you go low carb or carnivore, you're going to tank your T3. Well, really? Or are these people, the people that have low T3, is that because these other factors, they're not sleeping, they're stressed out, they're adding in fruit and jacking up their insulin. And now we're seeing their thyroid function decrease. So it could be a multitude of other things. I think when you look at the limited studies and you approach social media with common sense and don't believe the hype, because there's a lot of people out there saying things to get clicks, saying things to get you to stop the scroll. And that's going to make you go, whoa, oh no, am I doing something bad for my body by eating carnivore? No, because here's the thing. If you have low thyroid function, it's not going to be from eating carnivore. It's going to most likely be because you have Hashimoto's. 95% of all low and slow thyroid function is Hashimoto's. Or maybe it's because you are on a medication like lithium or a beta blocker, or you had chemotherapy or radiation. Maybe there's some other external factor. If you had an eating disorder, if you over-exercise, we saw a lot of thyroid issues with CrossFit because people were killing themselves in CrossFit and under eating. So it could be a multitude of other factors. The bottom line is this: we know that carnivore decreases inflammation. We know that carnivore decreases antibodies. When you have something that is so good for you and you feel so good, just like Aaliyah said, she feels good. She feels good on it. Even with the presence of antibodies, she feels great. So when you are feeling that good, are you really going to go by some influencer on Instagram saying you're going to tank your thyroid? No, you're going to listen to your body and you're going to listen to how your body is responding to that way of eating, and you're going to keep doing it. And if we test your thyroid and we see it's low, guess what? We have thyroid hormone replacement. Just like you would take progesterone, just like you would take estrogen, just like you would take testosterone. When you age and those levels go down, we can add in thyroid hormone too. So you can continue your beautiful way of life, your beautiful way of eating where you feel like a rock star. And we just add in a little bit of thyroid hormone to replace it if that happens.
How important it is to apply the old way of diagnosing things. Hundreds of years ago, we didn't have labs.
Right.
But we had a good history, and physical should always kind of point you in the right direction. So symptoms, if you feel great and you have absolutely no symptoms, do you have anything like hypothyroidism? I mean, if you didn't have the test, you would have to go on the symptoms, right? So a good history and physical is always good.
Yes, and I'll stack on that. The most important, the 4 most important words that your doctor, your nurse practitioner, your integrative doctor, your functional med practitioner, whoever you are working with, if they don't ask you these 4 words, you fire them and you leave. It is, how do you feel? If they don't care how you feel, then you are just a lab value to them. And that is the most important question, because you're absolutely right, Dr. Nelson. So we could have someone where I will look at their thyroid labs, and before I even talk to them, before I meet them, I have in my head, I go, oh man, this person is they're probably gaining weight. They're struggling with losing weight. They're constipated. I bet you they're really tired, maybe some anxiety and depression going on too. And then I'll talk to them and they go, you know what? I don't. I feel fine. I'm running marathons. I'm good. And I go, oh, okay. Well, if it's not broke, we're not going to fix it. Right. Then we're just going to leave that alone. Now, those rock stars aren't coming into our practice. We're getting the people that are gaining weight and can't lose weight and all that. But it's so important to ask that person how they feel. And to your point, you're right. Even if we didn't have labs, and someone comes in and they go, well, hey, doc, I'm gaining weight. I'm doing all the things. I'm even doing carnivore and I can't lose weight. And this is craziness to me. Like, what's happening? And I'm counting the hairs that come out of my head in the shower, and I'm tired all day long. I got to have coffee in the afternoon. Okay. Like, I can pretty much tell you that you have a thyroid problem. I mean, we can test you to confirm, and that way we have the baseline numbers. But yes, based on those symptoms, yeah, we can make a pretty accurate diagnosis there.
Let's take a couple of questions because they're accumulating. I still want to talk, if we can, about fat loss and metabolism and iodine deficiency. I do have a couple of questions about that, but let's take a few questions from the audience here.
All right. Juliet asks, do you do any telemedicine?
Yes, we do all telemedicine. So we can prescribe to all 50 states, parts of Canada, and Puerto Rico. So yes, it's all virtual, all telemedicine.
Awesome.
That last one is the most important one, Puerto Rico, by the way.
Exactly.
Born and raised. Anyway.
My home address is Illinois.
Okay, there you go. We can prescribe you that.
Thank you. Do you just ask for a thyroid test?
So, Joseph, if you're talking about asking your doctor for one, you really have to be specific and actually write down all of those markers that we just said: TSH, free T4, free T3, reverse T3, and the TPO and the TGA antibodies. Because if you just go in and ask, hey, doc, can I get my thyroid tested? They're just going to test the TSH and maybe the free T4. Got to be specific.
Thank you.
Are there more subtle signs of having low or high thyroid?
Yes. So the subtle signs of low, I always call them the kind of like the wacky symptoms that people just don't talk about. It'll be something like joint pain or frozen shoulder, bloating, and constipation, and or just bloating and gas, kind of that indigestion, because Hashimoto patients are naturally lower in betaine hydrochloric acid. So they often need to supplement with that or digestive enzymes when they eat. I'm trying to think of the kind of the lesser known ones. Loss of the outer corners of your eyebrows, heat intolerance or cold intolerance. Trying to think. Brain fog's a big one. Anxiety, depression's a big one. I'll have a lot of patients say that they think that they're getting early Alzheimer's, memory loss, like that recollection of words that you want to say. That's all hypo. Now, hyperthyroid, overactive thyroid, you know it. You are icky and sticky is what I call it. So you'll be kind of amped up and jittery, like you had too much coffee. You'll be losing weight. You'll be sweating. You'll have insomnia. You'll have anxiety. You'll just be like kind of jittery, amped up, basically. So that's pretty clear cut when someone is hyper.
Next question.
Are there more? Oh, we just did that one. I have a question. So real quick. So I was trying, because I can't get NP thyroid here where I live. I tried desiccated thyroid of a cow, and then insomnia set in. So I stopped because that solved with carnivore. Even though you're saying that's a hyper, I was having it with whatever, but
well, insomnia can be either. So insomnia can be hyper or hypo, because like we were talking about earlier, how hypothyroidism affects your progesterone. Progesterone helps us sleep. So it could be that you just dip low in progesterone and now you're experiencing insomnia.
Okay. And then what about cow thyroid as a desiccated thyroid versus pig?
Yeah. So, well, here in the US, the bovine thyroid is only in supplemental form. All of our prescription natural desiccated thyroid is porcine derived. So that's your NP and your Armour. But bovine is supplemental form. They both work. I mean, they both work. It's just about finding what's going to work for you. And I'm kind of wondering about the dose too, because if you went from, let's say NP, I'm just going to throw out numbers. Let's say you were on NP thyroid 60 milligrams, and then you purchase a bovine glandular supplement that is 120 milligrams, we're doubling up, but you're also doubling up the T4. So you want to make sure that you're checking your reverse T3 as well.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And for T3, are those available because T2 is available, of course, over the counter, right?
Right. T3 is a prescription.
It's always prescription.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned sleep, Alia, and we have a member of the Kiltz Mighty Tribe that has, since the Ohio meetup, lost a lot of weight and is working on reversing diabetes and all this. One of the things that he has to do, though, is shift work. He's a pilot, and he flies across time zones and works anytime of the 24 hours.
Yes.
And of course, among doctors and nurses and any hospital worker, the hospital has to be open 24 hours. But
yes,
how damaging is night shift work, and specifically with the thyroid?
Well, first of all, we thank everybody that does night shift work, because just like you said, I mean, these are tough jobs, and hospitals have to be open, planes have to fly, right? So we're so grateful for those of you who put yourself out there to actually do night work and do that shift work. The bottom line is it is so rough on our bodies because it goes completely against our circadian rhythm. And, I don't care if you're sitting there going, but I'm a night owl. No, you're actually not. None of us are night owls. We are all built the same way. We all have the same circadian clock. So we are meant to sleep when it is dark. When someone is doing shift work, what I would say is be more on top of your testing. I would want to see all of your hormone function. So the pilot you're talking about, all day long, I want to see his testosterone. I want to see his testosterone and his estradiol, because those get hit really hard with cortisol and with sleep deprivation or non-circadian rhythm-based sleep cycles. The thyroid too. So I would say, okay, if you're doing shift work, you get that full thyroid panel that we talked about, and you get estradiol, progesterone, free in total testosterone and sex hormone binding globulin, in addition to the thyroid, like every 3 to 6 months. I wouldn't even go 6 months. I would go 3 months. And if you have any kind of symptom at all, do not blame it on like, oh, I'm just getting older. Oh, well, I guess, yeah, I'm doing shift work, so I'm a little bit tired. Oh, yeah, I was eating a little bit more on the job, so I put on weight. That could be true, but still pay attention to your body. Whenever you have symptoms, your symptoms are gifts given to you to say, hey, maybe you want to look a little bit deeper. The body was not built this way. You are not meant to be fat, foggy, and fatigued. You are meant to thrive. You are meant to be energized. You are meant to have a metabolism and brain function and better mood. So when those gifts are given to us, i.e. symptoms by our body, we pay attention and we test.
Very good. So my microphone was up. Okay.
Oh,
So-
I'm on mute.
Let's take another question. We have a couple, and this one kind of relates a little bit. It's about coffee, but go ahead and.
I don't want to know the answer to this. No, slow. I wonder if excessive caffeine consumption can affect the thyroid and can cause excessive weight gain.
No, not that I have ever seen. Not that I've ever seen. Now, what we could extrapolate from that, and I guess we could tie things together and say, okay, if you're talking excessive caffeine consumption, that is going to affect your cortisol, right? So we're going to see the adrenal glands come into play. We're going to see a bump up in cortisol, which cortisol and T3 do play together. So we may see a correlation there, whereas if we are bumping up our cortisol day after day throughout the day with excessive caffeine intake, then yes, we could see a slowdown in our thyroid function. If you're talking about a couple of cups of coffee in the morning, no, nothing wrong with that.
All right. So all those carnivores out there that are still drinking coffee, I'm getting to it. You're saying 1 cup or maybe even 2 in the morning. Definitely not in the afternoon and not multiple. There are some people that drink 4, 6, even 8 cups of coffee a day. And
Yep.
especially those night shift workers sometimes. And I remember when doing my residency and having to be sometimes straight 48 hours in the hospital,
Oh, no.
coffee was my food.
Yeah,
Sometimes necessary evil. Okay.
exactly.
Next question.
So Marion Allen 2222. Thank you for all this great information. I really need to look into this, as I have never had energy even on carnivore.
So, that's a big thing. I'll even kind of pull this a little bit broader. If you are doing really good things for your body, you're doing carnivore, you're exercising, you're getting good sleep, you're turning off electronics, you're getting to bed in time, like I mean like 10, 11, right? We want to get that 10 to 2 rest and repair window. You're doing all the things. And I'm going to even add on, maybe some of you are taking a GLP and it's not working. You're not losing weight. You're doing all the things like Marion and your energy is still low. That is a huge sign. Please listen to that. That is a huge sign to get your thyroid tested, because this is classic what I see. We actually, okay, I have another story for you. We have another patient. I mention her all the time, Barbara. She came into the practice, full-blown type 2 diabetic, A1C at like 11.4, I want to say. Maybe it was even as high of a 13, but it was up there. She was on a GLP-1 prescribed by her doctor. She was doing the carnivore diet. She was 150 pounds overweight. She could not lose the weight even with the normal standard dose GLP prescribed to her. We're not talking about research peptides. We are talking about a prescribed medication at a very high standard dose of a GLP, and it was not working. She was doing all the things for her body. She was eating right. It was not working. Her reverse T3 was a 25. She was on T4 only. Once we fixed her thyroid, then she was still on the GLP, but it started working. Between the thyroid functioning well and her being on the GLP-1, they were and doing carnivore. Now everything was working together synergistically. Her A1C came down to a 5.4. She's no longer diabetic. She lost around 150 pounds. I think she's lost track. I mean, she looks like literally half of a person.
Wow.
It's amazing. So that's a big, big, big red flag when you're doing all the things and your body is not responding properly. You got to test your thyroid.
I'm curious. Sorry if there's noise in the background. Do you know of any connection between Hashimoto's, hypothyroid, and lipedema?
I don't know.
Okay.
There could be a tie because it's kind of like, well, you can pretty much tie the thyroid to any body system, but I don't know of a direct connection.
Okay. Well, then I'll not continue that path. Let's ask another question.
You just mentioned you can tie the thyroid to any. There's basically thyroid receptors almost in every cell of the body.
Every
correct?
cell. Yep.
So they do have an action. So even if we don't know the specific action, there has to be something that happens with thyroid and most cells. Next
Well, yeah, because
question.
there's even some people, like one symptom I can think of right off the bat is tinnitus. And we'll have a lot of patients with tinnitus. And I tell them, I'm like, it might get better. It might not get better. I mean, it might be tied to your thyroid. It might not be. We don't know. Let's just treat because we know we need to, because you have all of these other symptoms. And then you have this really kind of weird, we're not quite sure if it ties in symptom. Let's just move ahead and see if it gets better. And sometimes it does. And sometimes it's totally unrelated.
Okay.
Here's Papa Carnivore Peter's question. I've been hypothyroid for 40 years. I take levothyroxine 150 micrograms and take 12 drops, 2% Lugol's, iodine, and selenium. Almost 3 years carnivore. What else can I do to repair my thyroid?
Okay, Papa Carnivore. First of all, that is a really high dose of T4. And just like I said earlier, T4 only does not work to get you optimal. It really doesn't. Now, if you told me, but it kind of goes back to what Dr. Nelson and I already talked about, I feel amazing. If you're telling me like I have 0 symptoms, I feel absolutely perfection, I feel amazing, then I would say, okay, then just keep going. But if you tell me that you're on 150 micrograms of Levo and you have symptoms, then I would say you need T3. And we need to test your reverse T3 because that much T4 oftentimes drives that reverse T3 up and puts your body in survival mode, puts it in hibernation mode. So we need to test, first of all, and then I would absolutely want to add in some T3. It might look like, it depends on the patient. You have to personalize and customize treatment. But just for instance, it might look like, okay, we take your Levo down because your reverse is high. We bring that down, let's say to like 112, maybe 88 micrograms. And then we slowly add in T3, titrating up very slowly, ask you how you feel and test and put those two together.
And since he's stating that he uses iodine, I want to ask you about that because there are some people, whether they're carnivore or any other style of eating, but they're trying to biohack their bodies. And, there are some people out there that says, 100% of the people have an iodine deficiency. I don't think so, but I do understand their argument about supplementing with some iodine. So where do you stand as far as using iodine, when to use it? Because I think if you want to use large amounts, you better test whether you're deficient or not.
Right.
But tell us.
I love this discussion. So iodine. Number one, it's antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. So I'm going to lay the groundwork for what I'm going to say. Iodine is needed by every cell in the body. It's needed by your thyroid gland to produce T4 and T3. It's needed by your thyroid gland to convert T4 to T3. Low iodine is one of the biggest causes of elevated reverse T3. We also know that it's very protective against cancer, very protective of our breasts. I heard a stat one time that our thyroid gland needs around 5 milligrams of iodine daily. Our breasts need around 6 milligrams of iodine daily. So there's 11 milligrams of iodine daily that just between your thyroid and your breast, that's what's needed. And then there's your immune system and everything else. Iodine is the only element that competes for a receptor site on our cell that bromide, fluoride, and chlorine will attach to. So if we do not have enough iodine in our body, then fluoride, bromide, and chlorine will attach to your cells. Very, very toxic halides and halogens, very toxic to the thyroid, very toxic to your body. And these are things that we are exposed to every single day. We all had fluoride treatments as kids. Hopefully you're not using a fluoride toothpaste anymore, because it is 2025. It's time to get rid of it. But the bottom line is we are still exposed to chlorine is in our water. Even if you have a whole house water filtration system, you are still drinking water outside of the house, right? I mean, we're not immune to exposure to chlorine. And then there's bromide. If you have clothes, if you have furniture, if you have grass outside of your house, if you ever, get dry cleaned, God forbid, right? If you have a carpet, you are exposed to bromide. So unless you are taking iodine, you are basically allowing those toxic halogens to attach to your cells. Okay, that's the groundwork. Now here's the answer. I don't understand, based on that groundwork, I don't understand why there's any practitioner out there saying to avoid iodine. It literally makes no sense. And if you're not taking it, you're going to be low. But if you are taking it, to Dr. Nelson's point, if you're going up in the iodine, then you're going to want to test. But you can also base it on how you feel. So something like a Lugol's or a nascent iodine, you want to start with drops. I love liquid iodine. I have a nascent iodine in my line. I like the liquid because we can titrate nice and slow. And here's the thing. You never start out taking a full dose of iodine. That's where iodine really, I believe, got a bad name, because there were some doctors saying, here you go, take 50 milligrams of iodine daily. Well, that produced a thyroid storm. Wow. People got hyper, and you can detoxify. So remember, Hertz reaction can occur if you overdose on iodine, because you are literally detoxifying your body from fluoride, bromide, and chlorine. So you want to be really careful. You want to go low and slow. You need to add in salt, which if you're carnivore, you're doing already. So make sure you have enough salt on board when you start iodine. Make sure you're taking vitamin C as well. That balances iodine very nicely. And you just start with 1 drop per day and increase very gradually. And what I tell all my patients is, as you're increasing, let's say you go from drop number 20 to drop number 21. And on drop number 21, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Why do I feel like, like, did I drink a Red Bull? What happened here? Like, hey, what's going on? Okay, that you're going a little bit hyper, not to worry. It's only going to last a few hours. Take some vitamin C, eat some salt, you'll be fine. And then the next day, go back down to 20 drops, because that's your body telling you, okay, this is your sweet spot dose for it. But I am pro iodine all day long.
So I take a few drops in my morning coffee, 3-4 drops only, because I do know that the arguments behind the soil depletion, and I stopped using regular salt, which is iodinated, but it also has sugar. So kind of stupid, by the way. Why do they do that? Maybe you know. Why do they do dextrose in the salt with iodine?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I don't even rely on salt to get the iodine. I always use supplementation, just because 9 times out of 10, it's not even the right form of iodine that our body needs. And yes, to your point, if they're putting dextrose in it as well, it's like, no. Let's use just like Redmond's real salt or some kind of really good high quality salter, and supplement with iodine separately.
All right, let's take the next question.
I just want to read this from Juliet. So we are not excreting excess iodine, as we hear from big influencers. We have to be careful with jumping in high doses.
Yeah, you never want to jump into a high dose. You always want to titrate up. It'd be the same thing if we were starting you on T3, right? I wouldn't start you on 50 or 100 micrograms of T3. We start you on 5. And then we go up very, very slowly and go up gradually to allow your body to get used to it and adapt to that dose until we find your sweet spot dose. Same thing with iodine.
What about this? Bushhack says, I think it's Bushhack, long-term fasting slows the T3 push and can easily see increase and reverse T3. And this is appropriate since body will want to conserve energy.
You are correct. Yep. So if we were to, here's the thing, we would never test someone or have someone test after a long fast. We're going to get skewed numbers. And, you know, if with the topic of fasting, I know there's a variety of different opinions out there, but what I have seen in practice, especially working with women, since women are notorious for not getting in enough protein, when a woman starts throwing in like doing OMAD or, you know, trying to get in like a 16-hour fast, she becomes deficient in protein. So if you're doing fasting and especially extended fasting for health purposes, for cancer prevention, and you're doing it maybe, let's say once a month or something like that, that's fine. But then the rest of the time we do have to eat and we do have to get in enough protein for that reason as well. I mean, in addition to all the other benefits of protein, we also don't want to push up reverse T3 and have that fasting work against us.
Thank you. Let's talk about thyroid fat loss, metabolism, and maybe T2 there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in really this obesity crisis right now, obesity epidemic. And we are seeing a lot of GLP-1 use, of course, but with that, we're also seeing lean muscle loss. We're seeing the loss of facial fat. We're getting Mounjaro face. People are looking older. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not changing their eating as well. So I'm also seeing that with GLP-1 use. I realize that we have this obesity crisis. And the bottom line is when we have excess fat, we are usually not healthy, right? We have to lose that excess fat in order to be more metabolically efficient, to lower inflammation and the like, protect our heart, reduce our risk of cancer, all the things, reduce our risk of Alzheimer's, because Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes. The driver of your metabolism above anything else is your thyroid production of T3 and T2. Now, these are the two hormones that have a metabolic effect. Now, here's the difference, and we'll break each one down. T3, like we said earlier, that's requires a prescription. And T3 is the active thyroid hormone. It's beautiful. I want everyone to have enough T3 in their body to run their body, to give you a metabolism, to grow your hair, to light up your brain, to give you energy. There's one little caveat with T3 that we have to remember. T3 does not have a differentiation between fat and muscle. It will burn both. So that's just kind of something that we take into consideration, and we go, okay, we never want to push your T3 dose too high. We want to keep it right in that sweet spot where you're feeling amazing. You're not gaining weight, looking sideways at a brownie, and you know, your brain is functioning through the day. We don't want to push it. When we push it, we can get muscle loss, and that's the last thing that we want. We want to keep that organ of longevity, our muscle. With T2, it also increases our basal metabolic rate, our baseline metabolism, so the amount of fat that you're burning just sitting here. So it increases basal metabolic rate, and it acts at the mitochondrial level instead of more at like a thyroid level. So with T3, we are going to see a negative feedback loop to the hypothalamus and pituitary, which means that it's going to signal your brain to say, hey, there's enough thyroid hormone here. TSH, you can quiet down. Whereas T2 does not have that negative feedback loop. It's not going to change your labs. So you can take T2, your doctor's not going to freak out that you have a low TSH, and it only targets body fat. It leaves muscle alone, which is why we can say T2 is also an exercise mimetic, because it improves insulin function, lowers inflammation, reduces fat, but leaves muscle alone.
All right. So let's
Let's
take
do-
one more question. Alia, please.
I mean, there's a couple more, but I really want this one. If you get a
Pick
chance,
one.
I would love your opinion on 100% plant-based diet.
Oh, absolutely not. How about that? Just no, don't do it. I mean, for the host of reasons that I'm sure y'all have talked about already, like the inflammation, the lack of protein, the lack of bioavailable protein, the loss of muscle, the insulin resistance that occurs. I mean, it's just it's we are to the point in the practice where if someone is vegan or vegetarian, we'll basically be like, we can't help you unless you're willing to change. We just can't. It's hard to overcome the inflammation from a 100% plant-based diet.
How about any plants? What if some people want to eat plants? What if, like, eat lots of meat, but still love their pickles and olives and maybe cucumbers?
I know it's it's a debate. I get it. It's a debate. You'll have those people that they can eat their little bit of plants and they're okay. Like they're not inflamed. They're okay. But then you have people that are so sensitive that they notice it immediately. They notice that response by the body to the plant chemicals that are released.
There you go.
So-
Here's your channel.
This is her YouTube channel. Is that the best place to go and get in contact with you, or
Actually,
how about your website?
Yeah, the absolute best place. So you can go to dramie.com. So DRAMIE. Go to dramie.com. And on there, if you are interested in booking a call, becoming a patient, you can do that right from the website. Another great place if you want to join, I have a free Facebook group. We're like 22,000 and growing. It's called Just Fix Your Thyroid. And in there, you can post your labs. You can post your questions. Any question that we didn't get to here, you can post it over there. And I am in that group answering. I also do a live Q&A every single week. A little bit wonky through the holidays, a couple of weeks off here for Christmas and New Year's. And then we'll be back in January, and I'm in there every single week answering questions. So that's probably the best place to dive deeper.
So you can find that link for the Facebook on her YouTube page. It's listed there. I'm looking at it. I don't know if are you looking at it also? Okay, you put it down. But go to her YouTube page, and you'll find all her links: the website, the Facebook group. So let's do a giveaway. We're going to give away the thyroid
fixer. Yeah.
Yep.
And it can't be the Dr.Kiltz. Smoothie 42. Oh, Smoothie.
All right.
Love it.
So
congrats.
They have
email
to
me,
email?
alia@drkiltz.com. They need to email. Do this. Do email at alia@drkiltz.com, and also do hello. hello@drkiltz.com. Make sure I get it. I'm putting both those in the chat.
Alia has been having some problems with the email, but I think it's been fixed. So
it should be fixed soon.
And we'll throw in a Dr. Nelson hat.
Wow.
Nice. I like it.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's
All right.
great.
Any last words, Dr. Amie?
Well, I think the biggest thing is if anything that we talked about today resonates with you and you're sitting there going, yes, oh my gosh, you're speaking to me. I have those symptoms. I want you to have hope because it can totally change. I mean, we have gotten so many people optimized. And when you live in what I call optimization land, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place to be optimized where you really do feel your best because that is how our bodies were built to perform at a high level, to look, feel, and perform amazing. And like I always say, to be that badass human that you're meant to be. So if you are experiencing symptoms, listen to them, do not ignore them, and let's test and treat with hormones, replacing those hormones that your body's no longer making. It's not a medication. It's a hormone that we are putting in. Let's do something about it so you can live your best life.
All righty. And I of course, we are doing this in the afternoon. We also are here every morning, Monday through Friday, with Dr. Kiltz, but we also have 2 or 3 Zoom calls in the Kiltz Mighty Tribe community. So, Alia, if you could please maybe get her to
We would love to
schedule
have you talk in
herself.
our community whenever you like.
Love it. No, I love doing this. I love answering questions. I love teaching and educating. So anytime,
Awesome. Thank
anytime.
you.
All right. So thank you everybody for being here. Sorry we didn't get to all the questions, but it's already the top of the hour. Thank you, Dr. Amie, for being with us. And go to her channel, subscribe. Please leave a comments in our channels, subscribe to our channels, like, and eat meat. Have a great day.
Amazing.
Bye,
Take care, everyone.
everybody.